Sup guys, it's your boy Justin back with a new game review. Today we're reviewing The Legend of Heroes Trails from the Sky. Not Trails from the Sky, Trails from Zero. My bad. Which was originally a PSP game from 2010, but was released in the West in September 2022, right, for the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4 and Windows. I'm playing the Nintendo Switch Deluxe Edition, right? Which apparently this version of the game was based off the PS Vita version of Trails from Zero, which added voice acting. Though this game only has Japanese voice acting, right? This game was developed by Nihon Falcom, which also published it in Japan. But in America, it's published under Nippon Ichi Software America, which, holy crap, Nippon Ichi Software has gone a long way. I remember when they released the crappiest games. Now they're like releasing the only JRPGs worth playing outside of what Square puts out, right? And Atlas. So yeah, this game is obviously set in the Trails of series, which was the spin-off of The Legend of Heroes, right? This game takes place 3 months after the events of the last game of the Trails into the Sky series, which did. I don't know if all three of those games was released in North America, but at least I know the first one was, right? So yeah, this game takes place in Crossbell State, where you play as Lloyd Bannings, who's the protagonist of this game and its sequel, Trails to Azura, which comes out this month, I think on the 14th of March, right? Which I already have that game pre-ordered, right? So yeah, this game is about Lloyd Bannings, who's 18 years old. Who, after the death of his brother Guy Bannings, went around the world went to Calvert Republic, right, and came back to Crossbell State to become a detective, right? He graduated from the police academy to become a detective, and on his first day at the Crossbell Police Department, he is assigned to the newly established support section. What was it called again? Yeah, he gets put in the special support section, right? Which is a new department headed by Sergey, who was the superior officer of Guy Bannings, his brother. I know that's not the word, but whatever, right? And yeah, he gets put as the leader of this newly formed team, right? Which is stylized after the Bracer Guild, right? Because in Crossbell State, the Bracer Guild is making the police department look bad, right? So it's it's making them look bad, right? So it's like, somebody got the bright idea, we need to make our own version of the Bracer Guild, right? So yeah, the team comprises of Lloyd Bannings, right, the only person on the team who actually has a detective license. You have Ellie McDowell, right, who's the granddaughter of Henry McDowell, the mayor of Crossbell. She's like a girl from a upper class family and is armed with a marksman pistol. Well, not a starter pistol, a marksmanship pistol. So she doesn't have a real handgun, but she has a handgun, right? Other members of the team are Randy Orlando, who's armed with a stun halberd, right? Which is basically like a steampunk version of a halberd, right? At first, when I saw that, I'm like, is that supposed to be an orbital staff? Who is 21 years old, who was a former member of the Guardian Force, which is Crossbell's army, and he's the ladies' man, like, you know, comedic relief of the team. He's also an ex Jaeger Corps, which is basically the mercenaries. Even though the Bracer guilds are basically mercenaries too. And the final member is Tio Plato, who is a 14-year-old genius hacker who was working for the Epstein Foundation, not that Epstein, and is armed with an orbital staff, right? So yeah, the plot of the game is basically you're part of this police force, the department of the police force called the Super Support Section, where you get where through your terminal you get given support requests where you go around town like solving problems for the the local populace, right? Usually fetch quests, like looking for lost people, stuff like that, right? And you'll also get requests from the army or the state to go and hunt monsters in the various highways of the city, right? Of the state, because the state is not just the Crossbell City, but there's also highways and different villages, right? And there's special ruins that are basically dungeons, right? Which was pretty cool, right? Just like in Trails of Cold Steel, right? You have fishing in the game, but as a mini game, right? But you also have there's also gambling mini games if you're into that, right? So the combat is just like in Trails of Cold Steel, but the only differences are you can't switch out party members. Most of the game you only have 4 party members, or you'll have like people join your party and there's like 2 support slots. Where you could in the menu swap them out, but you can't swap them into battle during battle. You can only do that in between battles, which suck, right? But yeah, like they'll like they'll do like support members will like, you know, give you stat increases or attack the enemy, right? The gameplay is isometric, right? Your chibi characters, which the chibi characters actually look cool in combat. They look like almost like claymation. There's lots of detail, right? Only in battle, in the actual cutscenes or whatever, they look like, you know, regular, like, you know, sprites. Not sprites, but like, you know, they're like, you know, they're not exactly 3D models, but they're like, you know, I think they're like, you know, they're like more than 64-bit sprites, you know. Yeah. So like the combat is just like turn-based, but you can position your characters so you can do area of attack attacks, spells or abilities, right? And also like your healing spells, you know, will have like will show you on the map like the range where you can heal people, right? You also have crafts in the game, right, which are special attacks or spells. And just like in the Trails of Cold Steel, you have your S crafts that allow you to do special moves, right, which are either attacks or healing spells or whatever, right? And you even have like special crafts that you can do where you can do combo attacks, which are pretty cool. Which I don't remember if Trails of Cold Steel had that. I think they do. I just don't remember, right? And just like in Trails of Cold Steel, if you get a game over, you can retry on like a lower difficulty. But I pretty much only did, like, I pretty much beat the whole game, like beat the game without doing that except for once in the beginning of the game where you had like a where you had to protect like a kid, and the kid gets if the kid gets killed, it's game over. So I had to do that like once, right? So like most of the game is just like you going around like investigating various criminal organizations. Like you have the mafia. There's points in the game where you have to track down like a hacker or an assassin, right? There's like one point in the game where you're stopping two rival street gangs from like killing each other, right? And there's even a point where you have to stop a mafia war between the local mafia and the Eastern mafia called Hey You, right? And there are cool like missing persons like cases, right? The game is split up into 5 chapters. You have no 6 chapters actually, if you include the prologue, which fucking Google, when I googled how many like chapters there were in the game, they said 5 when really there's 6, because you have the prologue, right, where everybody meets and they have to do a special mission in the geofront where you have to go around killing monsters, right? And then you have like 5 other chapters, which the 5th chapter is like you're on a rails and you want to pretty much do everything, anything you want to do in the game. Make sure to fucking do it before the final chapter of this game, right? Including like support requests, right? Because like once you beat the final boss of like the final boss in like the chapter 4, good luck doing anything else, right? The game goes on rails after that, right? I should mention in the game you get like a police dog, which is a fucking wolf called Zeit, who you can summon in battle to do a special attack, but he doesn't really do that much, honestly. At certain points of the game, you have people join your party. Like there's Wazi Hemisphere, who's the gang leader of the Testaments, who is a martial artist. You have Null Seekers, like a female soldier for the Crossbell Guardian Force, who has two-handed, like, she dual wields submachine guns, right? You have Dudley, who's a detective for the First Division, right? Who gives your characters a hard time for being noobs, right? Who's armed with like a handgun. I think it looks like an automatic pistol, but it's hard to tell with the graphics, obviously. And then you also have 2 characters from the Trails in the Sky games that can join your party at the end of the game for the final dungeon, right? Which is Joshua and Estelle Bright, who Estelle has like a staff weapon and like Joshua has two daggers, right? Or 2 short swords. Again, it's hard to tell with the graphics, right? So yeah, I really enjoyed the game, and just like with Trails of Cold Steel, you have like political intrigue with the game, right? You have the different factions, right? You have to fight corruption, right? And there's even like a secret cult in the game. And for people who like the Trails of Cold Steel games, for the mecha, there are mecha in the game, but you don't get to control them, honestly. So I'm just going to go my likes and dislikes. I like the chibi graphics, which normally I don't like chibi graphics. Here, the chibi graphics look really cool, since like in battle they look like claymation, right? And the amount of detail that they put on the little like claymation like models for the fucking for the characters look really cool, right? You even see the ripples in their clothes and stuff, right? That was cool. And obviously I like that the game was, I would say it's definitely medium difficulty, right? I was able to beat the game no problem, which the game took me like 61 hours to beat. Mostly that I got to the final boss, and I would say in like at the 60-hour point, and then you had like a bunch of boss battles, right? which normally I hate when there's multi-stage boss battles, right? But you know, the real final battle, like final boss battle, is like the second one, and then the third one is just like he's basically on his last leg, and you can just spam your special attacks on him, right? Which I should mention, how they handle the arts in this game kind of is convoluted, right? Because it's like you have the how it works is that basically you put like the gems have like the gems will have like stat increases, will be named after their stat increases or special effects, and depending on how many points there are in that color, right, you'll unlock special special spells and shit. So if like there's a special spell that allows you to go invisible called Hollow Sphere, so you'll need like free green and like 6 white or whatever, and then you unlock that skill, which one of the special support skills is to unlock the stealth spell, and they don't tell you the name of the stealth spell, so you gotta go to the you have to go into the menu where it says lists to find out what the fuck the name of the spell is that you need, and like how many of the colors you know that you know, the basically the requirements to unlock the fucking skill, right? So that shit was a bit annoying, right? And making money in the making money in the game is a huge fucking problem, right? Because like basically the enemies don't drop like in the other games the enemies will drop like money that you can exchange. Will drop a shit. Will drop like a resource or material or whatever that you would exchange at stores for money. Here it's basically you only get money from completing missions or whatever, and then like exchanging your Sepfif for like, you know, money at the bank or whatever at different stores. Which you need the Sepfif to create quartz to make, you know, to have like arts for your spells, or you also need Sepfif to upgrade your slots, right? So they'll be more powerful or whatever, right? Which I should mention, to beat the final boss at the end of the game, you're probably going to need to be at least level 45. So I was like, when I showed up at the fucking dungeon, I was like level 36, and by the time I got to the final boss, I was like at like level 45 or whatever. So, you know, you level up like crazy at the final dungeon, right? I should mention that. So yeah, I'm trying to think of my dislikes of the game, which I like the combat, I like the story. Right, the aesthetic of the game looks cool. Right, my problems with the game is there's no maps in the fucking dungeons, which usually the dungeons are pretty straightforward, right? Straightforward, but the fucking final dungeon you can get lost and shit, because like you have to, like, you know, there'll be like parts of the dungeon where where pathways are blocked, and you have to press the switch to open one pathway, but if you do that, it closes other pathways, so you have to, you know, do that back and forth to get to the place where you need to go or whatever. That shit was fucking annoying. They should have added maps or whatever for the dungeons. At least have it so, you know, you can find it in a fucking treasure map, or like you can find the map in like the treasure chest or something, right? Which there are monster chests in the game where if you beat the monsters, you can, like, you know, get a special item or something. Which in the best equipment in the game you can only get at the final dungeon, right? Which you can upgrade if you go to like the custom shop, right? But you can only do that in post game. Right. Yeah. Another problem I had with the game is the dialogue. Like, a lot of cheesy dialogue. You know, our characters are supposed to be cops, but they act like, you know, shonen protagonists. Oh my god, cheesy ass fucking dialogue, especially from Lloyd. Yeah, like, and our characters don't act like cops. That annoyed the shit out of me. And then there's the thing where, like, you team up. Like, I had a problem with you teaming up with criminal, like, with basically the Eastern Mafia to take down the local Mafia, when you really should be fighting both sides or whatever. That fucking annoyed the shit out of me. Like, these guys are just as bad as these guys. And those guys are probably also spies from a foreign country, but okay, who gives a shit? We'll team up with them, right? Especially we'll team up with the fucking dangerous assassin Yen, right? Who I figured out way before they revealed it that she was a she, and that she was like somebody, which there's not a lot of people she could be, because there's not a lot of Asian characters in the game. So it's like, you know, put 2 and 2 together, right? But it's like, fuck, man, that shit was fucking annoying. Yeah, that. Oh my god, like, Lloyd's supposed to be a detective, but. And that Yin dropped enough hints that he should have fucking figured out what her identity was, right? Which that was fucking dumb. I didn't like the fact that, you know, you helped. There's a side character named Rin, right? Who is a hacker who's supposed to be like an assassin for like a secret society, right? Not the secret society that you're after in the game. She controls a giant mecha and has a fucking scythe. Her family is from Crossbell, and there's a mission in the game where you help rescue her brother, right? Who's also the son of a merchant that helped you out, right? And at the end of the game, she doesn't go back to live with her family, but she goes to live with the 2 bracers, right? Which I had no idea. Are they supposed to be brother? They didn't act like brother or sister. Are they supposed to be married? I don't fucking know. Right. So I thought that was fucked up. That, okay, the 2 bracers are going to adopt Rain. Right. Who I think we're supposed to think she's older than she looks. I'm not 100% sure. But it's like, well, what the fuck? You're going to take this kid away. You're going to adopt the kid, but you're not going to take her back to her family, right? That was fucked up, in my opinion. Spoiler alert. But overall, I enjoyed the game. I'm looking forward to the second game, right? And for people who are wondering who played Trails of Cold Steel 1, does this game like lead up to the events of the last game, the end of the game of the Trails of Cold Steel? No, but it's like getting there. I'm assuming the second game probably leads up to the events of Trails of Cold Steel, the end of Cold Steel 1. Because like there's the thing where Crossbell State is like, you know, a country that's basically not autonomous. It's like it has like ties to the Orbonia and the Calvar Republic. And you would think, playing like the first Trails of Cold Steel game, you would think, oh, they would probably, Crossbell State is probably more leaning towards Calvar Republic, since Calvar Republic is a democracy and Crossbell State is a democracy. No, they're basically, they want to be independent, right? They want to say fuck off to both countries and lead their own destiny. Which, if you got to the end of Trails of Cold Steel 1, you know what they do at the end of that game. Right. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed the game, but yeah, it has its problems, right? And I just want to say I enjoyed, just because I rate, you know, handheld games differently than I would console games. Even though this is technically a console game because it's on the Switch, I'm rating it as I would a handheld game. And because my piece of shit Switch is broken, I can only play it as a handheld. It doesn't work. It won't connect to my TV. I'm rating this as a handheld game. So just because I'm going to rate this game better than Trails of Cold Steel 1, doesn't mean I think this game is better than Trails of Cold Steel 1. I'm saying as a handheld game, this is like a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, which I gave Trails of Cold Steel 1 like a 6.5, right? Because that game had a lot of problems, right? But yeah, so yeah, I should mention that this game does the thing I don't like that a lot of games do, where you can't, where you equip a new weapon, you equip shit, and like, it just shows the same fucking thing. Since this is like a chibi, handheld game, right? It gets a pass for that. Where the Trails of Cold Steel games don't get pass for that because they're 3D games released on console. As far, yeah. So that's it for this review, guys. Because the second game is coming out, which is Trails to Azura, whatever it's called. It's coming out in 2 weeks. I'm not gonna have time to do another game review in between, so I'm just gonna chill and relax, do my next book review, right? Because it's been a while since I've done a book review, right? And I want to read the last book in the Bell Guardian series, but I will be hacking away at like what's it called? Tales of Xillia, and because that's a longer game, it's probably gonna take me like forever to beat. So I'm gonna hack at that, and after I beat and play Trails to Azura, whatever, that will be the next review, right? So yeah, that's it for this video, guys.